Slide transition. Right. Okay. So welcome back, and I should introduce myself. I'm Simon Hetrick. I'm one of the staff at the SSI. We've got lightning talk sessions. We've got 10 talks. They're 2 minutes each, so we should be able to do this in 20 minutes, right? And that means we can get back all that time that we lost earlier on, and we'll all go to lunch on time and have a full hour. So with that kind of attitude, I think we can do this. So what we'll do first is, I think I've got an introductory slide. Okay, so basically, as I said, 2 minutes. Slides are all going to be controlled, not even by me. I have to look around at Patricia and she's going to do it. There'll be a timer in the top right-hand corner, so please do keep an eye on it. Since time is of the essence, we're going to use the time-honored system of applauding when that timer runs out. And let's see, there's no questions at the end of the session. You can pick that up on Slack or on Slido or whatever you wish. It would be really helpful if the speakers in this first session had a look at the program and sort of got themselves queued up if they're in person, so that we can get a quick transition from one speaker to the next. We've got remote speakers interspersed. So what we're gonna do is ask the remote speakers to unmute themselves when you see your name up on the slides. And with that, I think that's enough introduction, and we can go on to our first talk. I shall hand over to James Baker.
I'm going to start early. So I'm James. I'm the head of digital humanities at the University of Southampton and a 2015 SSI fellow. I'm here to talk to you about the Digital Humanities Climate Coalition, which we call the DHCC. We're a collaborative cross-institutional initiative focusing on understanding and mitigating the environmental impact of digital humanities research. We're founded in 2021 to help the community respond to climate and ecological emergency. And in 2023, we became a community interest group of the UK Ireland DH Association, hence the branding. The thing I want to talk about is a couple of years ago, we published a community developed toolkit. The toolkit is a guide to how people doing work in our area can be more environmentally responsible and do so in ways that draw on the insights of the humanities. So, for example, the geological turn in the digital media studies, all stuff comes from and goes back to the earth after all. Can advocate for change for students and senior leaders, but also implement change in ways that fit with ethical alignment, such as just transition and career stage. The toolkit built on the work around a climate conscious data management plan, piece of work we put together, and is inspired by minimal computing practices that seek to support low resource communities outside the global north, so environmentally frugal practices intersecting with social justice. The toolkit has prompted invites from funders, partnerships with GLAMs like the British Library, and contributions to the Turing Way. We know wider communities have found our toolkit of use, and we hope this community can as well. For whilst the interventions DH can make are the kind of focus of the toolkit, the lessons we think are applicable to all research. So our main point of entry is monthly community calls. Our next big job is to do a toolkit for running workshops. So workshop toolkit, or a toolkit workshop toolkit. So check us out, join the mailing list, and if you can, contribute to our work. Thank you.
And if we get the next slide, please, we have an online speaker who is Gemma Turon, I think. Gemma, if you could unmute, we'll start.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Gemma. I'm an SSI fellow from 2022. I'm here on behalf of the whole team on research software authorship and contributions, which, if you recall, was actually a project that started in the last collaborations workshop 2023 in the Hack Day. What we are doing is to trying to build and create some community guidelines around what does it mean to be a research software author, which are the kinds of authorships that are recognized as authorships, how should they be acknowledged on the repositories, what roles that may not be so directly involved in actually coding, like, for example, more of a community managing or PI role, whether those also count towards software authorship or not, and whether someone ever ceases being an author of a research software. So we are trying to build these guidelines because we realize there is clearly a lack for criteria, as there is very clear criteria for inclusion of authors in scientific papers. There is not for research software authors. We started, as I said, in the Hack Day in 2023. Based on our own experience, we are getting some limited community input, and we aim to do a broader community consultation in the near future. We are incorporated as a Research Software Alliance task force currently. You have here the link and also the QR code. So we encourage you to go have a look at what we are building. We meet once a month in case you're interested in joining, and we would really appreciate your feedback once we release this community consultation. Thanks.
Right, and if we can go into Rowland Mosbergen, if you can unmute, please.
Yep. Hi, I'm Rowland from Practical Diversity and Inclusion, and we all know the challenges RSEs face. But what about people who are managing RSEs or leading teams of RSEs? So we have many courses for technical knowledge, but very few for RSE leadership. And in fact, most of those courses are more leadership courses that aren't really RSE specific. And I've heard multiple anecdotes of teams who struggle to find or keep talent even when money is found. And I've also heard anecdotes of teams who are under-resourced for key lower skilled roles. And I think in the UK survey of RSEs in 2020 identified multiple skills in demand for RSEs, some of which were leadership skills. So because of all that, I decided to pull together an RSE leadership training course. And in this course, it uses a diversity and inclusion framework to help unearth talent. And in fact, this framework actually underpins all parts of the course. It uses continuous improvement skills to help you future-proof your team. It allows you to create and maintain pipelines to attract talent. It allows you to manage sustainable, high-performing teams in complex situations. And it will help you build consensus by using an advocacy-based approach. So if you want to find out more or submit an EOI, please go to the Practical Diversity and Inclusion website with the QR code there. And feel free to hit me up on Slack if you want to chat more. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Nick. Thank you very much. Next is Kirsty Pringle.
Okay, thank you. So I'm really excited because one of the themes of this conference is environmental sustainability, and it's something that I've been working on for a long time. And it's lovely to see the community really come together and start tackling this important topic. There's an overall feeling that we definitely need to reduce the environmental impact of the research that we do. So although the research has huge benefits for society, there's also a downside to it. Some of the research that, well, most of the research we do has an energy uses, there's an environmental impact to that. So there's a general move within the community, within the funders, within the entire kind of research infrastructure to really try and reduce this environmental impact. In my experience, researchers, the people kind of, some of the researchers often kind of want to reduce the environmental impact of the research they do, but don't necessarily know how to do that. So there's a real lack of training in this area. People lack time as well in terms of kind of taking on additional training and additional skills. So although there's often motivation to reduce this environmental impact, there's not necessarily an easy route for people to follow. So in my opinion, I think research software engineers are really well placed to try and help this transition, because research software engineers, often they have the technical skills, they're used to working across this kind of research domain, research software domain, and they're able to kind of access and translate some of the tools, some of the steps that people can take in order to first quantify the environmental impact of their research and then to take steps to reduce it. But at present, there isn't really kind of a clear place where research software engineers can come together to discuss this topic, which is why we've set up a special interest group. So it's only just in the process of being set up. It's part of the Society of Research Software Engineering. And it's really an idea, a place where people can come together, share skills, share ideas, and start kind of working together to address this problem. So if you're interested, please drop me an email or come and speak to me in person. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have another remote participant, Olexandr Konovalov. If you could unmute, please.
I'm here. Hi, everyone. I worked in Scotland for many years, coming from Ukraine. After the start of Russia's full-scale invasion, I initiated a project of translating carpentry's lessons into Ukrainian in order to help Ukrainian researchers both inside and outside Ukraine. I'm a carpentry's instructor and trainer, so this was inspired by success of carpentry's Spanish translations. Quite relevantly to citizen science, we have used two platforms for collaborative work, which permit us to translate, discuss, review, and approve translations, thanks to carpentry's infrastructure that we are able to use. First, it was Transifex, and currently we are migrating to Crowdin. By now, this involves 16 members from 6 locations. We have internally full translations of 4 lessons, and the first one, lesson on Git, is already available online. It was used for online training at Research Software Camp last year, available on YouTube. And then this year, it was used for an online workshop at a winter school in Ukraine and for a hybrid workshop in Ostrog Academy. Also, in my home city, Zaporizhzhia Polytechnic is now using it in their course for PhD students. So our next step is to publish more lessons, to offer full-scale software carpentry workshops for Ukrainian audience, and start to build a community of carpentry instructors in Ukraine. In another Ukraine-related news, please check this initiative, Workshops for Ukraine, here. One can register for upcoming workshops and get recordings of previous workshops by donating to support Ukraine. And it's in English, and it had already a number of data science talks so far. I did a Git workshop there, and organizers are inviting new speakers, so please get in touch if you are willing to help. So please use the QR code from the slide to see my blog post with more details and links. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Pauline Karega. And whilst she is coming down, can I also ask whether Michael So, Sarah Jaffa, and Hannah Hope could come and line up so we're all ready for the next couple of talks.
Right, so I'll be presenting about co-producing initiatives for an inclusive RSE community. This was funded by the SSI. So co-production is defined as working service providers and users of the thing working together with one common goal in mind. And our common goal in mind was to answer why the RSE community is more white male dominated and why we lack inclusivity of people of color and more diversity within the space. So we did this in a series of 5 workshops where we quickly realized that co-production requires very clear stakeholder engagement, aims, structured learning opportunities, clarity of the process and such. And it came out in a series of 5 workshops where we first built a team with the people that we wanted to be more included in the space. And a lot of stakeholder engagement, more of it asking questions about the questions that they are asked as they are included into the space or they are recruited into the space. And our conclusion or our main thing was we developed material that we hope will be used to get more people within the space. And our main takeaway was that as we aim to achieve inclusivity even in more spaces, we need to maybe adopt co-production because it involves the people we want to include in the spaces. Thank you.
We have Michael up next.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Michael Cho. I'm from the UK Centre for Ecology and Hydrology. I want to tell you about a community workshop we held last year about environmental model code of long-term value. This is from part of my fellowship fund last year. So in this hybrid workshop, we brought together environmental modelists from universities and research organizations, as well as their environmental service data centers, data stewards, research operators, and other specialists together to discuss how we can work together to prolong the value of environmental model code. We had a keynote speaker talk about his experience for COVID-19 modeling and the reporting pipeline to government at different levels. And then we have discussions in groups to come up with principles and different resources we can use together, put together to advance this. And I think there are some of the recommendations here, but something that struck me is that it's just amazing that a lot of people working in environmental areas are interested in like software sustainability. And as I look through the outcome from the workshop, actually has a lot of overlap with the FAIR for Research Software principle that's been proposed recently. Yeah, and there are blog posts and workshop reports coming out very soon. So just watch this space, and if you're interested in this area, just let me know. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So yes, and next is Sarah Jaffa. Actually, sorry, you worried me there. Sorry, just behind me. Yes, I know. I do know where she was, but one person more from one side, and that was too much for my brain to handle. So, anyways, right, we're right back on time. So I'll hand over.
Hello, I'm Sarah Jaffa, currently at UCL. And I wanted to talk to you about a project I've been working on for 1.5 years now with a group of other people called Informus, which is a collaboration with the UCLH hospital around the corner from us, with a team of doctors and clinicians. The product we have developed is a dashboard that shows live, or so nearly live, patient statistics in 3 critical care wards to try and help improve patient care in key areas. So on the left, you can see the basic screens that our dashboard has. So it has an overview of all the beds in the ward with an easy color code to show which patients are on target for a certain metric or need attention. It has a screen for each patient, so you can see how their metrics change over time. And then it has a summary chart that takes all of the ward for the whole week to show whether our behavior is improving, decreasing, whether they're staying on target. Working on this project has been really fun, but has had a few challenges, such as flaky NHS infrastructure, not very long scale funding, so it's then hard to get people onboarded because it's a big project. Obviously very secure data, which is good, but makes our dev practices a little bit tricky. And communication between us, who are RSEs with no medical training and are reasonably busy, and doctors and nurses who are very busy and have no computer training, but use a lot of medical words that we don't understand. We've done really well in this project. It's gone really well, partly due to Monica, our lovely agile delivery manager, who's helped streamline our processes. We've got clinicians using GitHub. They do always push to main, but at least it's on there. We've put in requirements engineering to stop them changing their minds every 10 seconds. And I think the clickbait title for this is how to get 3 months of funding just for tech debt. So if you want to know how to do that, talk to Monica, James, Harry, or myself. Thank you.
And now Hannah.
Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm Hannah Hope. I'm the Open Research Lead at Wellcome. And as an organization, we fund health research to solve major challenges, but doing that research has a negative impact on the environment, which itself enhances some of the health challenges that we're trying to solve. So in recognition of that, in 2023, we commissioned a study titled Advancing Environmentally Sustainable Health Research. And tooling was highlighted as a priority area for delivering change in research practice at scale. So to help us as an organization understand this, earlier on this year, we undertook a couple of workshops with existing tooling providers, users of that community, to understand some of the barriers and enablers to delivering a wholesale change in how research is done. Through that workshop, we also looked at some of the values that a community that delivered research sustainably would need to have. And on the slide, you can see the values that were identified at the community level. and how these translated down into the approaches that individual tools would need to have that made up and supported that community. The values that we've been identified have been informing some welcome funding for tooling in this area that's going underway. We're particularly looking at ensuring an equitable community that is transparent and open. Those values aligned quite nicely with some of Welcome's own approaches. And we'll hopefully have more news on what we're funding in the near future. And we'd just like to thank our workshop participants. And in case anyone saw it, didn't see it, this week, Welcome launched a new policy on environmentally sustainable research. And we are also hosting the UK Concordat for environmentally sustainable research. So please do check them out if you haven't seen yet.
Thank you. Right, we're back on time almost, and we've got one more talk. So this is Reina Camacho Toro, who's online. So if you could unmute, please.
Hi, can you hear me?
Again.
Perfect. I'm Reina. I'm a physicist at CERN, and I'm an SSI fellow from last year. In the last few years, I've been participating in several initiatives for capacity building using open data and open education resources and developing them. And maybe some of you can relate with my experience that after participating in this initiative, I always asking myself, like, how can I bring the leadership of the institutions to be on board with the projects? How can I, or how can we as a team create institutional frameworks, even at the national level, or policies that make these kind of projects sustainable in time and not only depending on the budget and the funding that we have for 1 or 2 or 3 years, right? So lately, or a couple of years ago, I was participating in one of these projects that was linking some Europeans and some institutions in Europe and institutions in Latin America. And this brought me to discuss with several diplomats and embassies. And I discovered a concept that I didn't know, at least, that is the science diplomacy, the interaction between diplomacy and science in order to address national needs, cross-border interests, and global challenges. And I was wondering, like, okay, great. I mean, maybe there is a link between these two things. Maybe they can help support each other. How can science diplomacy support the open science movement? And how can open science actually be exploited in order to share resources in the science diplomacy framework that already exists? Last year in the collaboration workshop, we ran a small survey that actually ran a little bit longer in order to try actually to give answers to these questions. We are right now analyzing the results of that survey that involved 50 organizations and initiatives in Latin America. And please stay tuned. Looking forward to share with you the results for this. And if you are interested in this topic, please contact me and I will be happy to follow the conversation.